Are you a hard manager or are you a soft manager? Well, of course, today you need to be both. But that wasn't always the case. If you look back through history and the emerging role of the traditional manager, it was very much a hierarchical position. Your job was to manage, it was to oversee people and tasks, and there was an element of status and power there. But that started to evolve and change back in the 1990s when process re-engineering became a thing. This was all about removing red tape and bureaucracy. It was about organisational efficiencies, and in fact, whole layers of managers were removed in some large organisations. That meant that those managers left behind had a broader responsibility. Their job was to be player and coach. And that was great, but it was a busy job. It evolved again when we started to move into the whole digitalisation in the early part of this century, when information meant that people weren't just getting information from their managers, they could have access to senior leaders who in turn could communicate directly with anyone in the organisation. And that meant that some managers felt that they were losing control of their teams, which was exacerbated again in many organisations once we hit about the 2010s with the agile movement. Many people were brought into teams that were working on projects, and often the day-to-day management of individuals came from their project managers rather than their line managers. And then the whole world was turned upside down in 2020 with COVID, which really changed the way that managers needed to manage. Back during the lockdown period, managers were really having to dial up the human side of being a manager, giving people the flexibility that they needed, safeguarding their well-being, and quite rightly too. But a lot of that meant then that individuals started to realise that I love this flexibility. I like that somebody cares about my well-being. And what we have today now is a whole raft of people in the workforce that are hyper aware of what they deserve, what their rights are, and they're demanding, quite rightly, flexibility and well-being at work. So managers have had to learn to be much more soft in their approach. But business continues, and now managers are needing to be hard as well, because we need to be delivering on the numbers, driving the business, meeting the business objectives, but still in a human way. And so the best managers and leaders of today are able to be both hard and soft at the same time. This means leading with empathy, creating psychological safety, building trust within our teams, safeguarding well-being, building resilience. And it means having candid conversations, driving results, dealing with behaviours that aren't up to scratch, and doing that in a human way. So if you're thinking about how do I strike that balance as a manager, or for the managers that I look after in my organisation, check out our workshop called The Hard Soft Manager. We've also got a really neat resource that you might want to download as well. And of course, if you like this sort of stuff, subscribe to get more of it.